This video is for entertainment purposes only. Do not take my words to heart. But I'm gonna be honest with you. The Spiral Abyss reset this month on the 15th or 16th. I was out of town. I did not play the Spiral Abyss on reset. So I did hear some commotion surrounding the cycles, the enemies, the rotations, the elemental checks, the character checks, and I was like, okay, it can't be that bad. Fast forward 2 days later, I come back home, I open Genshin Impact, I go to the Abyss. First floor, we have 2 lava walkers, which is okay. Pyro resistance is high, so I cannot run Arlecchino, but Farina, Neuvillette, they work. After that, you have those 2 Sumeru chicks, the Dendro one and the Pyro one. Easy. I mean, we fought them multiple times, they're easy. Then you have 2 consecrated beasts, Pyro and Hydro. So Pyro gets Pyro resistance, Hydro gets Hydro resistance. Neuvillette and Farina are Hydro, so they don't do full damage to the Hydro consecrated beast. And I was like, okay, this is only first half. We reach the second half. We have Geo Bishops and the boss Geo Bishop or whatever it's called, where you need a shielder. And this is all scattered around in 6 waves. You have 3 waves in the beginning, not 6 waves, but 5 waves. You have 3 waves in the first chamber and 2 waves in the second chamber. It's not like, they couldn't drop all the enemies at once, good AoE teams would work, Nilu Bloom. Nope, it gotta be waves. So you have those waves, you clear it. I rack my brains, I go mad doing 12-1 because I haven't touched 12-2, 12-3 yet. But okay, I figure it out. I try a lot. In the end, a Neuvillette, Farina, Baiju and Shilonen team works for the first half, I think. And in the second half, I run a... Wait, let me check. I'm gonna be honest with you. I have the photos on my phone. So alright, Chamber 1, what worked for me? It wasn't the Neuvillette team. A Nilu Bloom team worked for me for Chamber 1. Nilu, Farina, Baiju, Nahida. Racked my brain, tried many different team comps, but then I went with the good old AoE nuke him up. Second half, Raiden Shogun, Neuvillette, Zhongli, Shilonen. Now Chamber 1 needed a shielder for that second half because that Geo Bishop deals massive damage to himself when it attacks a shield. And Layla's shield wasn't cutting it. Baiju's shield could cut it, but you have to get the timing right, which is kind of difficult because his shield self-destroys after like 3 seconds or so to heal the character. So it's kind of a timing issue. So Zhongli, very valuable. Done that. Then I was like, okay, Chamber 1, we're finally done with it. Let's go to Chamber 2. Chamber 2 is a Farina check, which is super annoying. You have the Pyro Bird, the Pyro Dragon that was introduced in Natlan. And it's okay. It's okay. The boss isn't that hard. Except the fact that when you just enter the stage, the boss becomes a Pyro Bird and hovers up in the air, just like Chaska. If you're playing Chaska and you have enemies under you and you're just, chilling up in the air, that's what that Pyro Dragon does to you. It Chaskas you. So you feel completely helpless. Especially if you do not have Farina, because only Farina summons can hover up in the air and attack that bird, thus destroying its pyro shield. Otherwise you have small gaps where you have to deal huge amounts of hydro damage so that its shield gets ruined. And it doesn't end there. You need to do it in under a minute. That's the aim, that's the goal. Because in the second half, you have Chaska's boss, the Tenebrous Paplia or whatever you want to call it, the stupid abyssal monster, who changes into Regis Vines, into Erendite Drakes, into, I don't know, the seahorse from Fontaine, or the, I don't know, the terror shroom, the whatever that Sumeru boss was, the terror shroom basically. And yep, it's protected by a shield, obviously. And that shield is not a shield that can be destroyed with normal attacks. Like, you cannot go with a physical Eula or pump up your new alert and destroy that shield. No. You need to hit it 72 times. Once if you're doing a normal elemental attack, or it counts as 3 if you're doing a Night Soul aligned attack. But you need to hit it 72 times for its shield to get destroyed, after which it gets reduced resistance. That's okay. I can handle that. The problem is when you enter the damn stage, it instantly regens its shield. And oh, we don't stop there. The boss brings out spikes or something from the ground, which if it attacks your characters, it's gonna set a counter counting the amount of damage that you get. And then after a while, it's just gonna erase HP. Like, at one moment you probably have a 40k Baiju, and he's tanking all the hits because he has the maximum HP in your party. And then 2 seconds later, when the boss's attrition value finally gets calculated and goes into effect, you're looking at a 15k Baiju or a 10k Baiju, because he just absorbed all the damage and it destroyed his HP. That's the boss. So if you thought that you could probably go with an Arlecchino burning team, yeah, you gotta be very careful over there, because it is annoying. I went in, first half I cleared with Farina, Neuvillette, Baiju and Shilonen, because that pyro bird needed some Crabletta teachings. So Farina handled it very well, but second half was annoying. I tried many team comps. I tried Hyper Bloom, I tried Nilu Bloom, I tried Chaska, I tried Kinich. Nothing cut it. I was losing 10 seconds every time. The stupid monster, I don't know, just moved so much. And this abyss was hell, because every chamber required a different team. So I had to do it multiple times. I had to do chamber 1, chamber 2 to get that final star. I know I got 6 out of 9 stars quite easily. That was easy. The last 3 stars were insanely tough. So the Tenebrous Papilla, or whatever you want to call it, I'm gonna call it the abyssal shit. That stuff, I took it down with the Kinich, Chevreuse, Zhongli and Emily team. Now, listen. I know Chevreuse works best in an overload team. I do know that. I've read her kit, and I know how to play the game. But desperate times call for desperate measures. You need to think out of the box for out of the box enemies, for enemies that require crazy thinking. So what worked over here was Kinich. Chevreuse was just there to heal in case the attrition value of the boss decreased some of my character's HP. I had Zhongli for interruption resistance and to basically be invulnerable, because the attrition value that this Tenebrous Abyssal whatever applies on your characters can bypass shields. It's like corrosion. Shields don't give a damn about it. So yeah, Kinich, Chevreuse, Zhongli, Emily, the burning team. And I just cut it close. I think I had only 3 or 4 seconds left from that timer. It was insane, and the buffs weren't helping. The buff was like elemental skill damage plus and attack percentage up, and it just kind of worked, but it wasn't really the best buffs that you could get. Come to the third chamber, where you have the good old Geo Wolf Lord, which only runs on an Ito rerun. But apparently we have Zhongli and he's Geo, so somehow that makes sense. The Geo Wolf Lord is back, and it's still stupid because you need a Geo character to take it down quickly. Otherwise, you're looking at an easy 3-minute clear time on the first chamber, which is hell. Which is something that you do not want if you're aiming for 36 stars. And after that, you have the erudite Drake, the flying robot, for which you need a bow character. Insane, right? The problem with this Abyss was the amount of character checks and elemental checks, and it felt more like an Imaginarium theater playthrough because it tested the limits of every character that I had. Every character. I tried everything. I tried Child, I tried Layla, Shinobu, Chevruz, Alakino, Chaska, Kinich, Mualani, Shilonen, I don't know, Nivelette, Farina. There's so many characters that I tried and tried. Nilu obviously, Nahida, Raiden Shogun, Yaimi, Ko, Jean, Kazuha. Basically every 5-star that I had, majority of them took part in this Abyss because it was that insane. Because I needed to get those numbers and get that perfect run. Which is honestly, it was quite fun, not gonna lie. But still, it was annoying as hell. It was very, very annoying. Now, I'm not going to complain about the power creep and the Abyss structure over here because, Star Rail suffers it heavily, and I'm glad that Genshin does not have power creep. What I'm going to complain about, though, is the entrance animations that these bosses have. The Geo Bishop does not need an entrance animation. It does not need an increased resistance when it's just, entering the field in the Spiral Abyss. You're wasting 2 to 3 good precious seconds of damage. It's much more worse than, using Zhongli's Burst. Zhongli's Burst at least petrifies their enemies. Over there, the enemy does not take any damage. A Raiden Shogun Burst that could easily probably deal 60 to 70k is gonna deal 6 to 7k on the entrance animation or do nothing at all, which is useless, which is absolutely useless. Second, you do not need bosses that stall the hell out of you in the Abyss. The second chamber is filled with 2 bosses that love to stall, and that they're super hyped on stalling. It's like the Pyro Dragon is gonna fly up in the air, and if you do not have a Yelan or a Child or a Farina or any Hydra character that can apply Hydra at a huge distance, which is quite low because we only have 3 Hydra characters, 3 4-star Hydra characters in the game, and none of them are a bow character. So yeah, you're effectively screwed if you do not have a good Hydro character. Second chamber, you're effectively screwed if you do not have a Natlan character. I mean, yeah, you can use burning teams, you can use Hyper Bloom, you can work around a bit, do that Xingqiu Yelan magic with Hyper Bloom, deal massive amounts of elemental attacks. But Natlan characters bring a level of comfort to that boss. And no, not all Natlan characters, because Shilonen is not fast enough, Mualani is not fast enough. So you're basically you have Kinich, Kachina, and Chaska. Kachina works, but let's be honest. How many of you have actually built your Kachina? It's insane. The amount of work, the amount of brains that you had to put. It's much more. There was much more brain power required for this than the Imaginarium Theater, honestly. And the Imaginarium Theater had that V-nut in this one, I think. The V-nut or the serpent, something like that. And then you come to chamber 3, which is another elemental check because you need a geo character for the Wolf Lord, which isn't it, because the first two chambers are anti-geo. You don't need geo over there. It's not a necessity. So yeah, you need geo. And then in the second half of chamber 3, you need a bow character, which does not fit the criteria of chamber 1 and 2, because in chamber 1 second half you need a shielder, and you do not have a bow character that gives a shield. And in chamber 1 second half you need a Natlan character. So you're effectively screwed. You're effectively screwed on all fronts. As a veteran player of Genshin Impact, as a player who's been playing this game for the past 3 years, who's been, scoring 33 to 36 stars regularly in the Abyss since 2023, and has been getting 36 stars for the past, ever since they buffed the rewards and such. It's not meant, this Abyss isn't meant for new players at all. It's not even meant for people who just started playing this year. Even if you do not have these main characters, it's difficult. It's gonna be very difficult for you. Yeah, you can go ahead and build your Bennett and your Xingqiu and try, but it's gonna be difficult. And it's tough, man. This Abyss just it's as bad as the one that had consecrated beasts, and the one that had the hydro and cryo abyss lectors. I mean, I don't think anything's more worse than the hydro and cryo abyss lectors with the permanent freeze. And at that moment we did not even have Arlekinos. Our only option for a pyro DPS was Hu Tao, Yoimiya, Dia, Bennett, Yanfei, Thoma. I mean, you get the point, right? There aren't a lot of pyro DPS units that were that good at that time, unless you had Hu Tao or Yoimiya. There was no Chevruz also back then, so Overload didn't work. You did not have a pyro and electro resistance decrease. So yeah, those were the worst days, but this Abyss is still tough. It's tough. What makes this Abyss annoying is the elemental checks, the character checks, and you having a wide variety. You cannot brute force through it, which I kind of appreciate, but I wish we had other enemies that did not focus on stalling. But it is what it is. At least we do not have that stupid boss, that Shilonen boss, that where you absolutely need someone from Natlan who is either named Shilonen or Chaska to climb the stone pillars that the machine creates to destroy that stuff. It's stupid. It's stupid. The mechanics work in the overworld. They don't work in the Abyss. That's the point. I just wish they removed the entrance animations and the entrance resistance increase that enemies had. That would have made this Abyss a whole lot easier. But yeah, overall still not bad as Star Rail, because Star Rail is doing something, and if I start a rant on Star Rail, it's gonna be super long, because I hate the current Apocalyptic Shadow as well, but that's another video. Could you clear the Abyss? Let me know in the comments below. And thanks for watching. I just hope the next Abyss is good. Yeah. Bye bye.